So shall we get started?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So thank you, everyone. First of all, a warm good evening to each and everybody over here in this meeting. Let me just share my slides and then we'll be able to proceed further. So my name is Dr. Nandish Hiramat, currently the EC member, Executive Committee member of the NHRD Bangalore chapter. Along with me, I have my co-mate, Dr. Savita GR, professor from Wellinger. She is also on the EC committee. Basically, the structure of the today's evening is we'll give the chapter updates. Then we have few important announcements. After that, I'll introduce both the speakers. Then after the introduction of both the experts, first we'll get started with Dr. Jaysimha. He will speak on the AI and the technology implications. Then we'll move on to Dr. Madhumita madam. She will share her inputs for about 20 minutes. Then Dr. Savita will be moderating the Q&A part. Then we'll conclude with basically the vote of thanks for the day. And of course, during the Q&A, we request participants and the delegates who have joined in to put your chats on the chat box, and then it will be taken and moderated by Dr. Savita on behalf of our NHRD team. So let me take you through basically what exactly we have the chapter updates. First and foremost, as you know, you can see on the right side, we have today's session, thought leadership meet for the month of August. We are coming out with the extraordinary general body meeting. This is for the which is scheduled on 17th of next month. We have a HR showcase. Let me take you each.
Nandish, I think there is a lag in the audio. It is not clear. Can you hear us?
I thought it was from my side. I was not able to hear
No,
that.
same thing. I also felt same, but once when I saw in the chat, I just realized.
Okay. Maybe it's the network bandwidth.
Yeah. Nandish, can you hear us?
There's a lag, Savita.
Yeah. I think he's re-logging in, so we'll just wait for a second.
You're able to hear me now?
Yeah. Now it is clear.
Yeah, fine.
Yes,
Sorry for that tech glitch. I think when I got lost, I was talking about monthly event, if I'm correct.
Yes.
It would, yeah, okay.
So basically, we'll have our next monthly event on 22nd September. Please do keep watching our NHRDBangalore.com website for the details. And we have one mega event that is 11th edition of HR Showcase coming in, and which is basically a showcase of best practices on 17th and 18th November. We request all the members who have joined in here to kind of make your time available and join. We'll have basically four verticals: best HR startups, best corporate practices, and best CSR practices, and best academic practices. We request you to log in into www.hrshowcase.in, which will give all the details about this upcoming event. And we definitely would like to put in the best of the things. Now, coming more specifically for today, we have two illustrious eminent experts. Dr. JBS, he is popularly known as Bharatheesh, and he is head of artificial intelligence and data analytics Vertex Star. They are having operations both in India and UAE. And we have Dr. Madhumita Majumder, professor and program head for research and business analytics from Wellinger School, WE School, that is how it is very popularly known as. And today's thought leadership meet theme is leveraging technology, AI, and analytics in enriching the human resource. Now, let me do the honors of introducing Dr. JBS. As I quickly mentioned, he is heading spearheading the research, development, and product and technology at Vertex Star. And he is basically an engineer from mechanical and computer science. He holds a doctoral degree in data mining and decision support from Bangalore University. And he is also having a postdoctoral collaboration with Lausanne University, USA. And he has altogether about 20 years of experience, especially in R&D domain, with specific focus on AI and machine learning and data science. So that is the reason we thought he will be the appropriate person for us to share his deep insights and perspectives to be shared with all the delegates over here. And coming to his expertise, he has designed, developed, and implemented the intelligent campaign management system and AI in telecom industry specifically. And he has been awarded best application in analytics by NASSCOM. As we know, NASSCOM is one of the leading professional body in the field of software and service companies. Currently, he is focusing on AI/ML design systems and supply chain analytics and energy analytics. As a part of his effort, he keeps working and participating in various field prototypes. And he's also the kind of a very active person, works very closely with academics. And just to mention a few of them, he's a chief mentor of AI programs in Reva University. He's guiding several candidates through their master's or PhD programs. And he's a deep researcher. He has more than 40 research publications to name in various systems. And he has 2 patents in AI and analytics. So let us welcome Dr. JBS for this session. He will be the first speaker. And before we give the platform to Dr. JBS, let me also introduce Dr. Madhumita Madam. She is basically the teacher, scholar, and administrator, handling a kind of a varieties of experience spread across for nearly more than 25 years. So she has 25 years of teaching, training experience, especially at national and international arenas. Currently, she is, apart from professor, she is the program head of research and business analytics at Wellinger School, which is popularly known as a WE School, Principal Wellinger Institute of Management Development and Research. Before joining Wellinger, Madam has worked as professor and chairperson of Center of Excellence Analytics at the Institute of Finance and International Management, Bangalore. And she has pursued her UG and PG from Jadavpur University and received her doctoral program from Bangalore University as a UGC fellow. And she has been awarded her diploma in business analytics from Harvard University. And she comes out with a very deep area of specialization in econometrics and statistics. So she has a deep experience and competencies in the area of data visualization and various aspects related to analytics. Now coming to a few more areas of her kind of understanding and the expertise. She is actively involved in business transformation using various software, including Microsoft, Tableau, Power BI, various aspects which we use in the domain of analytics. She has a deep expertise in that. And she has been included in one of the core faculty member from WE School, where they conduct a lot of MDPs and leadership development programs for various organizations like Mercedes, Infosys, Microlabs, Jidus, Siemens. In the Management Development Center, her heart lies. It is not just nurturing the talent of the youth at WE School, but also the top level executives in these leading companies. And of course, most importantly, she works with NGOs as a consultant. So she has a close heart towards community as such. And she has high quality research in various dimensions. One is analytics in business decision making and policy research, policy related research. And she has received best research paper awards for the research in few international platforms, and also presented her research papers in Harvard University. So here I present both the experts, Dr. JBS and Madhumita Madam, to be the experts. So now I'll stop sharing the screen and I'll request JBS to share the presentation, and then he will get started. And after that, Madhumita madam will come. Then Dr. Savita, my colleague from NHRD EC, will take over for moderating the questions. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. Dr. Simaji, you can share.
Thank you, Professor.
Pleasure to have both of you,
Thank
sir.
you so much, Professor. Thank you so much, sir.
I think my screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, let me minimize this. Thank you, NHRD, for giving the opportunity to share our experience. I don't call it as knowledge or expertise and things like that, because expertise is always beaten by amateurs. So we carry 25 years of experience. Some young kid comes and drops a new idea, and actually it is better than what we had in our mind. And we had to accept it. So that's why I prefer to share the experience than sharing the expertise and things like that. What we are seeing is we have been in the trenches, and we are seeing the ups and downs, the failures and the successes of AI. Surprisingly, when I did my PhD, AI was a niche for some of us. We just wanted to do because how a machine can think. Is it possible for the machine to think? If it is so, where it can be applied? Because that was one of the paradigm shifts that we were looking at. Intelligence carries multiple paradigms. We would like to see that, and I will tell what exactly the intelligence and how we convert that into artificial intelligence. Can it be applied everywhere? In fact, my area was in supply chain and kind of operations. But subsequently, we deployed everywhere. We deployed artificial intelligence everywhere. As a part of this session, which I would like to discuss maybe about half an hour, I request the moderators to time it so that I will not overflow. So I would like to discuss about the AI in particular, what exactly our perspective of AI. People may carry their own perspectives. It may be fear, it may be fascination, it can be hype, it can be anything. But being in the field for about 22 years, I carry my own bias, my own understanding of what AI is, what AI can do, what are its limitations. I would like to discuss that. Then, in fact, for me, HR was supposed to be the first area where AI should have been applied, but subsequently it is coming the last frontier. So we would like to discuss the dilemma of using analytics, AI, and all of the things in HR. Should we, should we not? Why should we, why should we not? Right? That question is an unsolved question. We don't have the answer for that. It depends on the business perspectives, what we are carrying. Then I would like to discuss about how to adopt AI in HR. In fact, if you ask me, HR is the last place. HRMS, maybe ATS and things like that. It may be difficult for us to get the data. Mostly it is subjective. How do we bring that subjectivity out of it? The moment we bring the subjectivity out of it, when it becomes objective, it loses the human touch. That is the dilemma. Should I be connected with the people, or should I be measuring them as machines? Absolutely, I have seen we can improve the machine capability, the operating effectiveness of the machines by 10, 20%, from 70% to 90%. Possible. We can do that. Can we do the same thing with humans? If so, what part of the behavior can be taken as machine, which Ray Dalio calls as the principles? Everything in the world should be treated as a system, as a machine, with some input, with some process, and with some output. We would like to discuss that. And what to expect from AI in HR? Because all said and done, theory, hype, all those things are good. But at the end of the day, what do I get to see? What do I get to touch? So once we have the big picture, then probably we can discuss going down how to implement all those things. Coming to AI. Now let us look at how exactly the systems work. Now, if you see the systems, normally what happens is it can be HRMS, it can be application tracking system, it can be payroll system, it can be any of the system, doesn't matter. You may have Excel, data stored in Excel or data written in something, right? You will carry the data. There will be some program for which you are given, okay, if it is like this, you do this. If it is like this, you do this. If the number of leaves is more than 15, take some action. If the number of leaves is less than 15, take this action. So any of that will be fed through a program. It takes the data. This program will do something on this data, and comes out with some decisions. The leave is granted, the LTC is granted, some XYZ is granted, all those things will be done. They are the current systems. And they are trial and error systems. Something which has worked somewhere else, right, may work here. We will take that and we'll put it. Are we re-engineering them? That is the first question we have to ask. And most of us, even the small companies, will have the data in Excel. Normally, people say that I don't have HR data, but my first question is, are you paying salary? Are you getting revenue? So if you're paying salary, if you're getting revenue, you have enough data about the people. What are you doing with that? The next question, okay, now these are the current systems. How AI is different. The artificial intelligence is so different. Now look at it. You give the data, and for this data in last 10 years, you have taken some decisions. Please understand. Earlier, you are giving how the decision has to be made and the data. Based on this data and the rules, you are making decisions. Now, during the post-AI or the AI systems, what we are trying to do is we collect all the data that has happened in the past and the decisions that I have made in the past, and I want the decisions and rules to come like this. So now I would like to see, can I get the rules out of it? So I do not want the rules to be given by me, and I would like to see what are the rules, what are the patterns which are work for me, which are against me. How can I use that? Can I learn on my own? This is what AI is all about. Scary? Enlightening? So always the truth, like the beauty, is in the eyes of the beholder. All of us want like to know the truth, but we want to be the exceptions. So keeping that apart, the only thing that is likely to happen in next 10 years is everything will be AI driven. Now the question is, should I be replaced or should I be monitoring the AI? That is the question. It is not about, I don't need AI. It is not there at all. It is not an option. AI is bound to be there in everything. But the idea of, should I be controlled by AI or shall I control AI? I would like to be in the second camp where I would like to write AI. I would like to control AI than being controlled by AI. In fact, a lot of people say that, no, they have the free will. They can think and things like that. But the moment I see they are latching onto Facebook, the moment I see they are latching onto YouTube and recommendation videos are seen, I know that they are being controlled by AI. How many of us are capable of controlling it? That is the human characteristic. That is not there. In fact, for me, it's already happening. Partially 10 to 20% of it is already happening. And I can foresee, because I have seen that in most of the financial systems, telecom systems, even now it is happening in Industry 4.0, everywhere AI is taking over. To give a scary picture, China is likely to reduce its manpower dependency by 75% by 2030. It means that most of the manufacturing in China happens by machines monitored by exceptional AI guys. There'll be no labor as such. If that is the case, where we are lacking is there. How are we improving our HR to control this AI? That is the topic that we would like to discuss. Trust me, for me, AI is enlightening. All of us are to be made prosperous. We are to be made highly educated to control AI, not to be controlled by AI. That's my vision, and I will be working towards that. I want you to join so that we can do that. Now, if we look at this, what is AI? What AI should contain? The first thing AI should do is to discover. Normally what happens when I go to enterprise, they will dump me some data. Oh, you are from AI? Do this. Check what is there. No problem. AI is capable of learning everything if the data is available. Just give me data, give me the decisions. I will understand what is the decision, right? Whether it is risky for me, whether it is costly for me, whether it is profitable for me, or it is an opportunity for me. The moment I discover that, trust me, I have seen there will be 180-degree turn in the knowledge the experts had. Sad, but sometimes what happens is that expertise has to be reinvented. As I told you, I'm not vulnerable. I'm also vulnerable to everything that is likely to happen in this world. A kid coming out will teach me what I had to learn. That's good. In a way, we must be open enough to accept that. And that is discovery. The second, it should diagnose what is being discovered. Can I attach a causal inference? What is causing this? If AI cannot do that, then it is not good AI. Just it discovers, it tells, okay, this is blah, 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 it is there. It's of no use to us. What is important is it should diagnose why it is happening. Okay, it tells why it is happening, it diagnoses it, does all those things. The next question is, you discovered it, you diagnosed it, my behavior is likely to continue like that. Can you predict what will be my next behavior? When I diagnose, it can be a risky behavior, it can be a addictive behavior, it can be a profitable behavior, or a behavior of interest. Now, can you predict the behavior given certain clues? That prediction is another thing. In fact, a lot of people ask me, I do that in statistics also. Trust me, the difference between statistics and artificial intelligence, statistics is a part of artificial intelligence for me. I'm okay to be controversial, that's not a problem. But for me, we use statistics to verify whether the hypothesis we generated is correct or not. But hypothesis generation itself is done by AI. Currently, what has been done is the domain expert is generating hypothesis and testing it. And that is a hollow tunnel. It's rabbit hole. At the end of the day, the number of hypotheses that can be generated is limited by the creativity of the person. And that is the limitation between AI and statistics. Statistics is essential, but statistics is not everything. Artificial intelligence is essential, but AI is not everything. Statistics is a part of AI. Psychology is a part of AI. Data is a part of AI. So we would like to combine all of them. You predict it, you diagnose, you predict, you do something. Okay, tomorrow it rains. What should you do? Either go by car or carry an umbrella. That recommendation has to be given. This person is likely to leave. Why he is leaving? Because the market is giving more, monetary benefit for him, or probably he's recognized better, or probably he's much suited in that role. What you should do to retain him if he's good? He's not learning. What you should do? What is the recommendation? So these four things, if they are there, that is a good artificial intelligence system. Currently, what is happening is most of the time, we try to go for predict or recommend. Actually, these two are not being done at all. Sometimes even diagnosis happens, but the entire system is not put into a simple function like recruitment or performance management, or possibly L&D, or possibly, kind of remuneration or the salary benefits. How do we do this? Can I discover? Can I diagnose? Can I predict? Can I recommend? When a system can do all these things from the data, from the past decisions that you have made, from past recruitment mistakes you have made, from past recruitment successes you have made, can I get me the pattern? Can you diagnose what should I focus on? In fact, as a thumb rule, normally we say that anything more than 3 variables is a problem. It is trying to confuse you. Don't take anything more than 3 variables. If somebody says that I can handle 2000 variables, either he is lying or plain stupid. 3 is what is called as the Miller's law. 5 plus or minus 2 is the maximum thing that we can handle. But 7, 5 plus 2 will give us so much stress that we really don't know anything. 3 is an ideal number. 1, 2, 3. 3 variables, 3 factors if I can control, that's really good. AI is capable of giving such kind of alternative explanations. Not that domain is wrong, not that AI is wrong. Everything are correlated. If you use variable of the education and you variable of gender, and the rule says that anybody who is a PhD can do AI. But most of the times, the reality, it may be telling that if the gender is female, already she is using AI to control the male. That is practical. This is theoretical. The rule is given by somebody. That exactly is where we have to wisely choose how do we implement AI. Once we know AI, the next thing that we are interested is to understand what is HR dilemma. Let's look at what is HR function. Now, if you look at the HR functions, there are plenty of things, starting with recruitment, then understand the legislation, whether is, in fact, I'm sorry to mention some of the names, some of the best brand names are closing their eyes when it comes to employment legislation, like you should not be using the child labor. But the cobalt that comes to our smartphones is coming from the child labor in Congo. We close. It is not happening in India. It is not happening in US. I'm okay. As long as it is not happening here, it is okay. And such kind of things is what I call as hypocrisy. But AI simply takes that out. When we try to have these data, it tries to correlate the things which we may feel, which may defend or rationalize, because we are very good rationalists. We defend why we are doing that. In the name of religion, in the name of XYZ and all those things, we do that. But that is another thing, which is a function. Then discipline. Somebody is not coming. Normally, as a manager, I would like to transfer it to HR. Ma'am, you take this out. This guy is not falling in line. Do something. Development, that's very, very important. Training, reward systems, trade unions. In fact, this is what I feel is killing the whole system, because they do not want to understand. They want to understand their own perspective, but they do not want to stay as an ecosystem. There is no ecosystem. When I see the HR and other practices in most of the industries, there is no ecosystem. Management wants to do their own thing. The employees want to do their own thing, but as an ecosystem, they don't exist. Productivity is very, very important for me. Motivation, why they should work? This is the Maslow's hierarchy. Have they already reached self-actualization? No. Try to look at their physical needs, psychological needs, social needs, what motivates them to be with you. And all of this have already been done in the organizations. They have this data. They may say that, no, I don't have this data in my system, but they know what the case that they have solved, how they are solved. And we call that as case-based reasoning. That can be used. Now look at what has happened here. This lady is a well-known sociologist recruited by Google, and she aggressively said, if you use analytics and if it says that based on my interview and things like that, it could have rejected me. But actually, you're not trying to take my 1 year performance. You're trying to assess me based on my past work, and based on my interview, you're trying to assess I'm good, I'm not good. So if you look at that, one of the things that's important is, instead of predicting my 1 year performance, which AI is capable of making a sequence prediction, I'm not interested in yes or no kind of thing. I'm interested in what is the sequence, whether it is stock market, whether it is HR, whether it is anything. I'm interested in what is the sequence risk. He has not come for 2 days. His mother was not feeling well. I had some problem in my product. He was supposed to fix it. He is not fixing it. I put him as not good. The context is not being given. Only numbers have been taken. Then we are excluding him from the system, and he wants to exclude himself from the system. Can we address these type of problems is the HR dilemma. Now, nobody is belling the cat. Nobody is ready to accept. In fact, the easiest way to solve a problem is to recognize the problem. When we are not ready to recognize the problem, we will be in the same hole. We cannot come up. First thing is we have to recognize we are in the hole. When you do not want to see people above me are moving, I see that nobody is there. I'm alone. This is hole. This is where I have to be. The first thing is recognizing there is a problem. The moment we recognize the problem, the solution comes. For me, that is the HR dilemma. Normally, the things that I will tell is, now if you look at what is possible with the knowledge that you have now, the competence, capabilities, you know, if a problem is there, you know how to solve that. And that's what we call as domain expertise. You don't know what happens, but you are capable of experimenting. That is creativity. You don't know what to do, but you know the problem. When I saw that the double-digit attrition in the software industry, I'm surprised. With so much of money poured in, why there is double-digit attrition? I don't know. They give all reasons. I don't know. That is the opportunity lost. I could not able to retain them. I could not able to engage with them. I could not able to give them the sense of belongingness. That is the unknown. I don't have knowledge. I don't know what is happening. That is the risk. Elon Musk is going to Mars and he brings somebody from Mars and he wants to rule everywhere. We don't know what to do in that situation. At least in India, we are very clear. Unless you make the Tesla car here, you don't sell it here. Don't bring it from somewhere and try to put it here. That kind of thing is defensive programming. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not telling something is wrong, right, or things like that. I'm just trying to put my perspective and the facts that are there. So risk. Now, if you look at it, I really don't know. Can we quantify how much of domain expertise I have? Can I predict the future? Can I diagnose why it is happening? Can I recommend things? Can I discover something which is not known to me? If you can do all those things, it is good. The system is in place. You don't need AI. Trust me, this is hardly 1 to 2%. 98 to 99% of the systems, including Google, I will reiterate, are not in this. Now they are moving towards this. What is possible? Now AI should discover what is not known. It should tell me, diagnose and tell me why it is happening. It should predict what is likely to happen, and it should recommend what is best. My domain expertise increases. This is where we should go towards using AI. That's where AI helps. I should reduce opportunity losses. I must reduce risk. Creativity is okay, right? We are not against creativity. In fact, the difference between artificial intelligence and intelligence is creativity. AI is not capable of laughing. The humor is missing. Humans have the special characteristics of humor. I can laugh at myself. I can laugh at my weakness, my inability to think that I'm not the best. So that is the special creativity that God has given to us. Whether God is there or not is a secondary thing. We need not to discuss it here. But the idea is creativity is specially human. So it is the human characteristic. That is what we should not spend too much time on. Everything should be creative. Then there is no system. We want to increase the domain expertise. And that's how the AI can help. Now, how do we adopt AI in HR? Now we know what is AI. AI should do 4 things. And how do we adopt AI in HR? In fact, we would like to understand what are the reasons for not using AI in HR. The first is there is no business use case. Normally, I say that, can you tell me, like the one use case what I shown in the beginning, before recruiting, can you tell me whether this person is likely to become a performance 4 or 5 before recruitment? Can you do that? There is no business case. Now the business case is, can you predict the quality of hire? Trust me, 98% of the companies cannot predict quality of hire. Even if you predict with 50% accuracy, you are world class. Next is fragmented ownership. Recruitment is separate silo. L&D is a separate silo. Then compensation is a separate silo. Retention is a separate silo. Administration is a separate silo. Nobody is owning anything. That requires what we call as culture. So it's a cultural problem. It is not AI problem. It is none of the other problems. It is the cultural problem of doing everything with evidence. If there is no evidence, let us say that you would like to increase somebody's salary, assuming that he is likely to stay back. After increasing his salary, he leaves. Are you taking that feedback? Do you have the evidence? Last time I did 10 times, I did like this. Out of 10 times, 9 times, the person did not stay with us. So much of evidence is there. Still, I want to do it. That is not good. That is culture. In fact, anything which says that on an average, if it is 50% better than what I'm doing, I would like to go for it. That is data culture. It's a cultural problem. The next thing is big data. Most of the big data is bad data. What do you do with 10 terabytes of Facebook pages, 10 terabytes of Instagram photos? What will you do with this in HR? You collect all those big data. In fact, HR is not a big data problem. People may sell that idea. People may give XYZ and all those reasons. It is not a big data problem. It's a bad data problem. Data is not good. So when data is not good, AI is as good as a machine gun without any bullets, no bullets. It's like the bottle in the Gods Must Be Crazy movie. It can be used for anything else other than shooting. So big data is not the problem. Bad data is the problem. You can have big data, but from the big data, you have to condense all of that into what we call as know less. Don't know more. There is no need to know more and more and more. It is know less and less and less, so that a small variable can detect what you're likely to do next. In fact, that is what we call as the parsimonious modeling or the parsimonious AI. Just when I say meow, people think it is cat. Just the sound of cat, people assume it is cat. And that exactly is what we are looking at. Now, because the context is there, you know that it is not cat, it is JBS who is meowing, right? That is not the problem. The problem will be, can you reduce all the big data? In fact, if you take the meow sound I made, and if you look at what is the size, it will be about 1 MB. 1 MB of data that will be available. What do you do with that 1 MB data? What you want to do is, it is not cat which is meowing, it is JBS. That is the condensation of 1 MB into about 1 KB. That exactly is not happening. These are the reasons why the AI is not used in HR. For me, most of the thing will be 1, 2, 3, 4. But the major thing is cultural problem. Still, HR feels it is subjective. It is not objective. I would like to look at, I am happy to be proved wrong, but most of the time I feel very bad because AI taking over. Now, if you look at how do we adapt the AI in HR, what is the journey? Normally what happens is we must establish a culture of measuring and defining something. In fact, when I see 500 KPIs run across HR, take success factor and do all those things, boss, it simply increases my blood pressure. I do not want to know more. I want to go with management by exception. Everything I set as a system. Then people say, have systems. No, you do not have systems. You have people who do not want to follow the system, because the system and people are two different things unless they are synergistic. When there is no symbiotic involvement of these two, the system pulls in one direction, people pull in another direction. So defining and measuring few KPIs. What are the KPIs? I would like to see lead KPIs. I do not want to see lag KPIs. I do not want to know last year 10% attrition was there. This year 13%. So good. But it is not lead. Now, if you can tell me the attrition rate is increasing at 3%, arrest it, that is a lead indicator. We would like to see 50% of your indicators should be lead indicators. Other 50 is not needed actually for business, but it is required for compliance with the government and other things. How much money you made, how much tax you paid, for such kind of things, you need the lag indicators. But lead indicators is what we are looking at. Next is the dashboard. In fact, our eyes have been evolved from 2 billion years. Our language evolved only about 10,000 years. So it means that our AI is capable of detecting the smallest pattern that may be different from what I know. Dashboard is a good way of doing it. Show that. Next is analytics. There are plenty of analytics available. I won't talk about it properly. Professor Madhumita will talk about that. I will not talk about analytics, but artificial intelligence. Can all of this be automated? Automated not in the sense use some RPA tool and automate. No, I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in a self-learning system. Can the system learn on its own? Or should you be doing everything? Because trust me, the moment you do RPA, it is cast in stone. Cast in stone. In fact, normally I ask question, but nobody answers me. The inflation is increasing 6% every year, but the income tax is fixed. Salary is fixed. It is not changing. So it cannot be cast in stone. The whole system should be revolving and adapting. Most of the big systems now are not adapting. That's why they are very rigid. They are not flexible. They cannot grow. The problem is that. So artificial intelligence is a self-learning system. This is a good thing. In fact, people say, okay, I'm not here, let me start. No, that is not the way. Try to think all of this big and in one, try to implement this within 3 months. That is the way to start. Start quick, fail fast, fail early, fail cheap. That is a good method of adopting AI in HR. Now, if we look at how do we do this smart HR? In fact, we call it a smart HR. And if you look at it, it requires data. Without data, it is nothing. Next is domain. In fact, we can tell all those things. Domain is not needed. Domain is bad. No, no. We want the domain to define data and AI. Period. We want to define data and AI by domain. And that's why the domain is competing with AI. That is a good thing. We should not shy away. There is nothing wrong. Trust me. Humans are much better than any AI. But the only thing is we are fogged. We have been given the idea, if AI comes, your job is gone. AI is bad. AI is not bad. We are not learning, but AI is learning. We want to make sure that the domain team learns how to control AI. You get data from multiple systems. You use your domain knowledge, your experience, your knowledge, your reasoning. Human reasoning is far superior than any mathematical or AI-based reasoning, because it is at the chemical level, it's at the emotion level. It is not at the math level. It is at the emotion level. So that is very, very important. And there is AI. In fact, when somebody tells me this is the model XYZ, okay, good. What do you do with that after that? That is reasoning. Then you can use part of ML as analytics, because data science is beyond AI. Data science is actually application of AI. How do we use it? And use all these three, it becomes smart HR. Now, if you do this, what can we expect from AI in HR? What can you see? The things that you can see are something like this. The first of this is smart dashboard. I do not want to see 25 dashboards like success factors, which is telling me, okay, this is good, this is up, this is bar chart, this is pie chart. All of those charts, junk them. They are not needed. Are the lead indicators? Are the smart indicators? Can they tell me only 20% I should know, which can define 80%? Or it is telling me everything. It is like RTI. I will ask for some RTI information and they will send 10,000 pages and say, you search what you want. It should not be like that. It should not, it should be very smart. And we say that it should be beyond smart in the sense that specific, measurable, right? A kind of thing. No, right? We are not looking beyond that. Can it be a lead indicator? Can it be a predictive indicator? That is what we would like to see. And that basically is AI problem. When somebody using dashboard, immediately you should look at how do I go for accepting or implementing AI in this. That exactly is what you have to look for, getting smart dashboards. Next is you have some rules. Somebody who has done this, done that, XYZ, do this. That rule is good. But have you tested that rule? Have you calibrated that rule from the data from the field? Anything that is not documented, I would like to apologize to Deming. Only in God we trust. Others have to give data. I don't trust your rules. Whatever experience it is, don't trust me. Don't trust me. I don't trust anybody unless they give me evidence. If there is evidence, absolutely. If the evidence says that your belief has to be changed, your rule has to be changed, we call that as rule calibration. 98% of the companies do not have that system in place. They cannot calibrate the rules in the first place. Something has been done into the system, and if the guy who has implemented that system leaves, nobody knows what is happening there. That's a big problem. So it must be well documented and explicit. I'm quoting, it should be explicit. Any rule-based system that you are trying to do, nothing wrong with that. Rule-based system is converting the human intelligence into artificial intelligence, but it has to be verified and calibrated by the data. That's the next thing that you should do. Next is use machine learning. Use machine learning to do the things that we were discussing. Discover something which is not known. If it discovers something which you already know, it is not anything. I do not want that. I already know what is that you are telling. I do not need that. What I want is what I don't know. Can you tell me? In fact, sometimes back we found that maybe it's controversial, counterintuitive. When a married woman who had a gap and then come to the work, they work only for about 4 hours, but their productivity is high. Is it true across? We don't know. But the company with which it was. People who are working for 8 hours, people who are working for 4 hours, they are same. But the salary that is given to people who are working for 4 hours is not. And that is what we call as diversity. That diversity is not there. It's all rule-based. They are working for 8 hours per hour, this much has to be given, give that. That we feel is not okay. Did you find that? Did you find that? Did you discover that? Machine learning discovers such kind of things if it is done properly. Sorry.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir.
If you are able to take another 5 minutes, then we can give and then we can take the question.
Sure.
You can plan it accordingly.
So next,
sorry for interruption.
No problem. That's good. That's good. I was about to, yeah. So natural language processing, you should engage with the people. So way to do that is now chatbots, but now we are moving towards what are called as video bots. I would like to bring in Barack Obama or possibly Steve Jobs himself. We'll talk to the employee and we'll listen to all those things. We'll give guidance and all those things. That's the way that's going. Next, identify anomalies. What are the anomalies that are there? How the anomalies are happening? Can I detect that? And all of this is controlled by domain feedback. Do this, do that kind of feedback. This exactly is what you can expect when you implement AI in HR. So some of the use cases, quality of hire, time to hire, can you really predict this much time it takes to fill this? I don't know, but there's a possibility you can do that. Performance, I'm not interested in performance. I'm interested in employee lifetime value. If he stays with me for 2 years, what is the amount of revenue that I can generate? What is the profit I can get? And what is the cost? Retention, who, why, how, and when. Most of the system tells me who is likely to churn and sometimes why, but it will not tell me how to retain him. It will not tell me when he is likely to leave. So engagement, what should I do? Why I should do that? This question has to be answered. In L&D intervention, when should I train them? What is the recommendation for me to tell he has to be trained on motor skills? He has to be trained on C++. He has to be trained on the soft behavior. How do we do this? This can be done as pre-recruitment or post-recruitment. These are some of the use cases in AI, which can be discussed when time permits. So with that, I would like to close the session. Probably we will keep the session open later after Professor's discussion for any kind of QA. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. JBS. It was a very wonderful examples and illustrations you were able to give. Thank you very much, and we'll take the questions. Already some participants are putting the questions.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, over to you, Dr. Madhumita. You can just go ahead and share, and then both of you can take the questions.
Thank you so much. Can I share screen? Yes. My screen is visible?
Yes.
Not yet, madam.
Not yet, madam.
One second.
Yeah, it is getting uploaded. We can see that it is.
Okay. Yeah, is it visible now?
Yet to.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
Now-
you can give the
now
full
it is.
screen. Now it is there.
Yeah.
Now it is.
Yeah. So thank you, Dr. Nandish, for an elaborate introduction. Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for giving me an opportunity to talk on the platform. Dr. JBS, your presentation was wonderful. I was, just listening to it. And, you are, what you are saying about artificial intelligence is, very relevant and appropriate. So,
I think there is some technical issue at her end.
Yeah. We'll just wait.
Yeah.
I think you can hear me.
Yes,
we
now
can hear you.
you are back. Kindly go ahead.
Ma'am, we request
Yeah.
you to share the screen again because we lost the PPTs. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And in the meantime, request for all the delegates to put their queries in the chat box, please. No, not yet, ma'am.
Still not visible, is it?
No, you have to share we can hear you. You have to share the PPT again.
I did share.
Madam, maybe for 2-3 minutes you can switch off the video, and then I think bandwidth can get optimized, I guess.
Yeah.
I think
Ma'am, you switch off your video and then try to upload the PPT.
one second.
Yeah.
Or share the process, share the PPT with Savita or Nandish. They can do that. Probably you can take us through.
Unable to.
No, it is getting uploaded.
Yeah.
It is getting uploaded. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, madam. You can give it full screen. You can make it.
Okay.
Kindly
So
proceed.
okay, I have switched off my video permission. Yeah. I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, now, yes, a bit, yeah.
Yeah, am I audible?
You are audible,
Yeah.
but it would be nice if you could make it full screen, ma'am, presentation.
I made it full screen.
Yes,
Now,
Is it
now,
not visible?
now, yeah,
it
yeah,
has
now,
come.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I have switched off my video with your
That is-
permission.
That is fine, madam. That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. So I was just saying that Dr. JBS, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation. And Dr. Nandish, thanks for elaborate introduction. So what Dr. JBS also has mentioned, so today AI, big data, data analytics, these things have become buzzwords. So undoubtedly there is phenomenal growth in AI space, technology sphere. But along with that, there is a growing concern that people have started thinking whether AI is going to replace human. Even Dr. JBS had mentioned a couple of times, he hinted that. So today I have chosen the topic, do we take the human out of human resources? I'll start with a story of two brothers. Rajat Khurana, the CEO of West Coast Consulting, and Anuj Khurana, the CEO of ARC Solutions, they have chosen two different paths. One brother has chosen data analytics, and the other brother has chosen human experience as judgment. Even though they have this, they are in the same industry, IT, ITS, and they have the same, goal, that is the staff augmentation in IT, ITS sector. Yeah, Rajat believes in happiness index. That is, he believes in if the employees are happy, they produce more result, consistent result, they're productive, and therefore they bring more profit to the organization. Whereas Anuj believes in data and analytics, his entire trust is on data, and therefore whatever he does, whatever strategies he formulates, whatever calls he takes, that's based on only data. And he doesn't, he doesn't believe in human judgment and all those things. So just to give a couple of examples, so when they actually do everything manually, their hiring process, recruitment process is completely manual. So they basically hire quality people because people, go to all resumes, etc. Whereas art depends more on a higher net, and therefore they through technology they hire quantity, they can capture more. Automation helps art to grow in a linear manner because believes in all automation, AI, technology, data, etc. Therefore his growth is linear. Whereas Rajat, from his firm, what he does, he believes more in happiness of the employees, and therefore when he grows, his growth is in non-linear fashion, and possibly it's in exponential manner. So happiness index, because Rajat's main mool mantra is happiness index. So what he does, so that has protected his firm against commoditization, whereas art, even though they are and margins, so they have experienced 25% employee attrition, which is definitely higher than Rajat's firm, and possibly it's higher than the industry attrition rate. So that is what he has experienced. So later, so he has realized, ARC has realized that if only data-driven strategies probably would not make the employees happy, and therefore, even though he was doing very well in terms of sales and growth, but employees were leaving the organization, and therefore they had to do more and more fresh recruitment, etc. So finally, ARC adopted data-driven, human-centric approach like his brother. So I don't have to talk much about the significance of HR. However, to understand that when we talk about people analytics or HR analytics, how that that is so important, and how to the final goal of the organization. So attitude toward the job and attitude to the company, these two things definitely make a good employee behavior, a positive employee behavior. And of course, a good employee behavior leads to positive employee retention. And once employee behavior is good, that leads to service helpfulness, monetization, etc. And that definitely results in customer impression. And I'm sure you know good customer impression leads to good customer retention, and then it leads to good customer recommendation. So of course, customer retention and customer recommendation finally leads to ROI of an organization. So if I'm looking at a compelling place to work, that definitely leads to a compelling place to shop, and that leads to a compelling place to invest. So that's the first model that we know and we use it. So this is where HR is working, hovering around this to improve their function verticals, and so that it leads to ROI. And that's where probably analytics will help a lot. Now, in this context, I would like to mention Google's people analytics. I'm sure all of you know or aware of Google's analytics. So Google's HR function, I'm sure you know that it's known as people operations. And they have a P lab, people and innovation lab. So their Mool mantra is reinvent HR for managing people and managing a productive environment. So they believe in that all people decisions at Google are based on data and analytics. They bring the same level of rigor to people decisions that we do to engineering decisions. So that's the goal of Google. That's the goal of Google's P Lab. So this P Lab, People and Innovation Lab, they are working in a full manner. So what they are doing, so as you all know that Google believes in innovation. So continuous innovation, they believe that it requires new kind of people management, and innovations come from people. And what Google believes basically, they believe the more and more people interact with each other, the more and more innovation happens. But what happens? They observe because of huge number of employees, people hardly interact with each other. They interact within their own small circle, and therefore Google feels that probably that's not the way for innovation. So what they interact across department, across function, across location, etc. So for that, what that P Lab had invented, that if they increase the lunch hour by 3 to 4 minutes. Of course, that 3 to 4 minutes was driven by data analytics. So if they increase their lunch hour by 3 to 4 minutes, then that will result in larger level of interaction. They also, what they did, it's a cool thing, simply joined all the dining tables in the dining hall. So instead of sitting in a small table, now the Googlers sit in a long dining table. So they're forced to interact with each other as they are seated with others. And also what they have done, they have reduced the dinner plate from 30 centimeter to 20 centimeter. So the smaller quantity they bring, and each time they need a second help or third help, they need to get up from their seat. They have to walk up to the counter. They have to serve themselves and come back. So while going to the counter and coming back to their own table, so they happen to meet with other Googlers, and they at least need to say hello to them. And that's how the Google actually enhance the interaction across the employees and between the employees. Right. And also now that they made that, these plate size from 30 centimeter to 20 centimeter, that also contributed to employees' health. Naturally, we all know that lesser, smaller quantity we eat, the healthier we feel. Then Google's P Lab had so many other contributions. So they have reduced the hiring time to hire, by checking off the number of rounds. And as you all know that Google had so many number of rounds of interviews that they reduce, simply because analytics tells them that beyond 4 levels of interviews, it's of no use. And hence they cut short all the interviews, and that had improved their time to hire. Then they also have worked on employee retention. They have enhanced employee retention by using that algorithm, classification algorithm, and they have successfully reduced that employee retention, and where their employee retention they have enhanced by reducing that employee attrition. Effective workforce planning is also done through what-if analysis. They do lots of what-if analysis to do what people like, what they do not like, as a result of which they have actually, last year, they have added that. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, you are audible, madam.
Kindly go ahead, madam.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought I heard some sound. So, so what last year they had done using this what-if analysis, they have, what I was saying, that their workforce plannings, whether, these, the Googlers wanted, to add their increment, to add to their base salary. And that was a product of what-if analysis, and PLab had invented that, and that made the Googlers very happy. So many root cause analytics they do to understand the diversity in recruiting, retention, promotions, etc. And this results in excellent hiring, retention, and promotion for the company. So Google's people analytics is using analytics brilliantly to enhance its people decision, and is thus working towards improving the employee work experience also. So every organization can take inspiration from this process, because really Google's PLab is an example for us, but so they believe in the strength of organizations lie in the people. So that's why they call it as also people analytics. Now, we have been talking about HR analytics, people analytics, etc. Let's see what is the state of this people analytics. So I have, there are very good Deloitte research regarding that. So the Deloitte shows that 87% of business leaders are highly concerned about retention and engagement, 86% about leadership, and more than 85% about current workforce skills. So despite the vast amount of engagement services in business, Glasgow rating still says that employee experience, that they rate it at a very low level, just 3.1 out of 5. So that is something to be noticed. So companies need data to figure out, as Dr. JBS has said, what makes people to stay, what is likely to be most successful, etc., etc., etc. So the concept of HR analytics is even more important than we thought earlier. So there we talk about AI and analytics in HR. If I look at the state of the market of HR analytics, we see that that's an exponential growth curve. So initially, we don't see any growth. We don't realize, because all the firms have been doing so many trial. People are using for a particular vertical, they don't see any error. And again, they're doing some trial and error. So as a whole, India as a whole, we don't see much result. Probably we are here. But when we will see the result, then we will see that really it is the growth of HR analytics would be exponential. It will, we are right now here. The books that, the bricks that will rule the world, but not alone. So why we need data scientists and statisticians to analyze and build models? The discipline of people analytics is multidisciplinary, right? So therefore, we need just not the HR people, just not the analytics people, IT people, just not data scientists, AI tech, experts or data scientists. It should be a combination of the entire group to make it a successful team, right? And of course, this is type of data, just not, some kind of numeric data, which can be arranged in row and columns, and we call them structured data. We have so many types of unstructured data because it's based on location, time, visual, etc. So we have to deal with all those things, and all those data are also equally important for HR function, just not the payroll and HRMS. And therefore, we are heading for a very big show. Now, in the main understanding of Deloitte research, it says the key point of Deloitte research is, it says that modeling is valuable, but implementation of the model is the key. So my analytics might say that the reasons that people are living, right? maybe people are leaving because, the proper increment is not, there is discrimination while fixing up the salary, or there are a lot of business travels which are happening, which are, assigned, or probably there are so many night shifts, etc. There could be n number of reasons for which we talk about, the model might tell us, but AI or when the analytics model gives us, there are certain reasons for which people are living. How are we going to adapt it? How are we going to adapt it? And who is it that who are going to implement those changes? So the change management has to be brought by people in the organization, and analytics or AI cannot bring the change management. Analytics can only give the direction that this is how a company should move. These are the steps the organization should adopt, etc. That's all data driven. That's all machine driven. We can get it, but the change management has to be brought by the people in the organization. Now, just I'll talk about this way of writing AI, just like Google, even Amazon, as we all know, that's far ahead of many firms who have adopted AI. So lights out is one recruitment, selection, and onboarding through algorithms. So actually what happens in October 2019, Amazon had approximately 60,000, more than 6 lakhs employees and 63,000 vacancies. So to keep the enormous machine moving, to have a scalable recruitment without sacrificing quality, Amazon implemented a process called lights out. So what does it mean? So instead of humans going through all the applications, etc., so all the applications for a huge vacancy was brought under a machine, and they call it that everything in the dark, lights out, and machines had done all these things, sorting the resumes, etc. And as a result, 60,000 new hires were placed within very short period of time. So in 2019, implemented this lights out. So Nostradamus, that is named after a French prophet. So this is again the retention through data mining and stay interviews. So these are all, instead of exit interviews, the policy had emphasized on stay interviews to know what motivates a company to stay in the organization. Of course, chatbots is very common. Now it's adopted by many organizations. So that was mainly adopted by them to answer the tier 1 HR questions, because they will ask how many days leaves are there, what are the timings, etc. There are so many tier 1 HR questions are there, which probably it's very difficult and tiring to manage to answer all the tier 1 HR questions. Those things were answered by chatbot. Then connection, something they had implemented where daily employee sentiment analysis was done. So they know that they have more than 600,000 employees, and each and every employee is logged into some device or the other, digital device or the other. They are part of some network or the other. So Amazon, normally, so what they ask every day, they ask a new question, gets advice. Is your manager handling stress? Do you feel valued in what you are doing? Do you have necessary resources to complete your task? I can go on. So there are lots of questions are asked, and all employees are supposed to answer. And that's how they actually collect their data, and they get to know more about management, more about everything. So that's a very good thing that they had implemented. Connections, that was also implemented in 2020. Then voice of associates, which they have. So once something goes wrong, employee level or at production, by the time it goes to management level, so there will be so much time lag. And therefore, before a corrective measure, before taking a corrective measure, company might run into lots of losses. So a long lag time is not at all welcome. So what they had done, they have created a voice of associate. It's a virtual board to which associates can post a question or comment, and received management's attention immediately. So by adopting that, they had actually overcome the time lag of posting the question and the response from the management. And finally, I'll talk about the forte. So that's again a very good thing from HR side. So every time they ask, what's your superpower? Because people sometimes, even though the performance happens, appraisal, yes, even though the performance appraisal happens, even though, every year we talk about all these things, appraisal happens, etc. But at times, employees fail to understand what is their strength, etc. So Amazon has started this forte where they post certain questions like, what is your superpower? They will ask many times the same question. What does this person do particularly well? Or what growth opportunities do you see for this person, etc., etc., etc. So that's how Amazon actually has adopted AI and HR and people analytics in their organization. And I want to conclude my talk by just saying one thing. See, human brains has got 86 billion neurons. I'm sure all of you know that. Whereas the most powerful computer, which is placed in US right now, that has the memory or the neurons equivalent to 1 billion neurons, right? So therefore we understand, so to what extent humans are powerful compared to AI, compared to computer. I'm not at all, therefore what my message is that human is an inevitable part of AI, and human should control AI. Just to understand one thing, suppose there is an instruction to an AI, a robot, that if you see this kind of terrorist, just shoot. That's the instruction given to a robot. And suppose a child just appears in between that person, terrorist, supposed to be terrorist, and in between the robot, a child appears. So you understand, robot will shoot irrespective of the fact that the child is there in between. But a human will think 100 times, million times before shooting that, terrorist, because a child is in between this. So that's all I would say, that humans are important. And I feel what Dr. JBS was also saying, that it could be a debate. So I personally feel that AI is definitely very important, and it's actually, revolving the entire space of all the business functions, no doubt about it. But definitely humans are powerful too, and humans should control that AI. Thank you.
Thank you, madam, from all of us, both JBS and yourself. That's a nice point, that 86 billion neurons in human mind and 1 billion in computer, because all the time we are chasing the AI and technology. That's a nice sum up. Now over to Dr. Savita for the next part of the Q&A part and facilitating the interaction. Over to you,
Thank
Savita.
you, Nandish. Thank you, Nandish. First and foremost, thank you so much, both the speakers. In fact, like, it was a feast listening both the presentations. So like we just like one and a half hours, like, we just don't know like how we spent here. So a lot of questions. In fact, I have made a note of, like, who sent to me on a personal chat as well over here. But we will see the time, and based on the time, we will see how many questions can be answered. So Dr. Sima, actually, this question is for you. So delegate is asking that, like, we heard a lot of examples from Google and various other organizations. If you could give some example of use of AI in HR from the Indian context, that is from the Indian organizations, if any, and how actually AI is performing there.
Okay, that's a good question. Actually, though I cannot reveal the name of the company with which we work, because that will be the competitive edge they would like to have. I can say it is top 5 consulting companies where AI is used to identify 5 months in advance who is likely to leave, why is likely to leave, and if there is a retention bonus that is to be given to retain him, how much is that, what is the employee value that is coming to them. This will be done. AI has already been implemented and it is self-learning. So it learns over a period of time. Every 3 months once, the model will be updated and it will be giving new insights. Every time it is changing, depending on the market quarters, how they have been paid and all, because this particular group is in the Q1. So they are paying the market best, still people leave. Maybe because of stress, maybe because of they're getting something better, but they will identify who are the top performers, who are likely to leave. They're already doing it. But as I said, all of this is being implemented as silo implementations because HR as an enterprise, personally, I have not worked in any company who is doing this. The second example I can give is one of the clinical research organizations where we did the analysis of their employee base. So employees are the heart of the system. Though medically they say that brain dead can be killed. Personally, I feel only when the heart stops, it is dead. Brain is not life, heart is life. So we always felt it is necessary that you should have good number of evidence to say that whom to have in your company, whom not to have your company. That is the employee base, because employees make or break the system. It is not the system, because at the end of the day, system is nothing but people. So what we did when we did the employee base analysis, the high performers with below average salary are only about 30%. High performers above average salary is about 20%. Rest of the 50%, sadly, was high cost employees, PhDs, blah, 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 all those things. Now, we have done the analysis. We have not done anything else. We have done the analysis. We have shown this is what AI has discovered in your company. What do you do with this 50% is left to you. Because most of the times when these organizations go abroad and try to sell, they would like to see how many people are there, what is your headcount and all those things. Because of that, you have to pay. That is one thing. The second, the aspect is, if the guy who is doing better, but who is subpar in the compensation, if he comes to know his value, he will leave. What is your retention strategy? We could not able to get that, but still it is in the second phase. The first phase, when we did the employee base analysis, it was shocking. And that's also one of the Q2 companies, which I feel that if Q2 company in India has that, what about the Q4 companies? Either they have mediocre workforce, which they are trying to sell, or it's not a good practice that I'm seeing there. So Indian companies are using it, but not to the extent of some of the US and European companies. And certainly not to the extent of Chinese companies, because they are trying to replace humans.
All right. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Simha. Actually, like, he just mentioned that, retention strategy is tough to identify. And there was a question, something related to that, to Dr. Madhumita. Here, one of the delegates. Ma'am, somewhere in your presentation, this is what the delegate has to say, madam. Like somewhere in the presentation, we saw that the Deloitte actually is trying to identify how to retain employees, or rather they get to know the behavior of the employees when they quit. Can you just explain briefly like how actually this happens? So this is a question from the delegate for you.
Okay. All right. It was mentioned for this one. Never mind. It was not for as part of Deloitte's research, but it was a part of Google's problem. That's okay. So the retention, how do they do it? So they have, they have parameter data on multiple aspects of employees, for example, right from their job profile, their demographic profiles, their performance, etc. Everything, their academic background, so many. So probably the company will have data on various fields, maybe on 50 aspects, parameters. The company will have data, and then so they take all those data. So what machine learning is basically, it is where the machine learns from experience, and those experience are nothing but data. So if we feed the data, and also we will have the people, that is historical data where people have left, and who and all have left and who and all have been retained. So the machine has both groups of data along with various features. So then the machine, tries to figure out which are the parameters which are important for this. And that's how we get to see that what are the parameters which are important for a particular employee to leave. So accordingly, we understand the parameters which are extremely important for people to retain also. So the company adopts and takes those parameters into consideration so they get to see, for example, if, salary is one of the criteria, or maybe business travel is one of the criteria. So the company understands that this is the criteria, which is why people are leaving. So, and who are those people? Because the machine can predict the possible attrition. So fitting into that model, if they can, even if the prediction is, let's say, 90% correct or 70% correct, still there is a hunch that these people might leave. So if they take proper action well in advance, then probably will help the retention of the employees. That's how the actually the analytics helps, machine learning helps the companies to understand who are the people possibly they would leave the organization. So if they take action well in advance, then they can retain the people.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Dr. Simha, there is a question. Is it possible to teach machines ethics, empathy, and compassion? So based on your experience, like, have you come across any of these things?
Some of this, yes, we are working, especially when it comes to ethics. Yes, because that is driven by human values. What is good for me may not be good for my enemy. So what is ethical in my sense may not be correct from my enemy's ethics. So it will be very personalized and contextualized. So most of the times, current systems are driven by religion, which is bad. Science is not driven by science, but religion defines what is ethics. So that has to be addressed, which I'm not the right person, because I'm pure technocrat and I have my personal bias, which is questionable. So yes, ethics can be taught. In fact, normally we say that one of the ethics is, recently there was a news about a kid when it was playing chess with a robot. The robot broke the chess, the kid's finger.
Yeah.
Right. People say it is accident. For me, it is not accident. It is ruthless behavior of the manufacturer to tell that this has to be given to the kid, and idiotic parents who did that. It is not the child's problem. Child didn't know. There must be something which is by default. Nothing can go near 2 meters of a kid should have been put there. That is ethical. Whether it's old man, anybody else, no. Child is a child. Child has to be protected at any cost. Safety comes first. I don't care about the profit. I don't care about the revenue. I don't care about anything. Safety comes first. That was not taken. And it has been released, FDA approved. So ethics should start with top, not from bottom. AI is unethical. It is like science. Einstein has submitted E is equal to mc square as science to create the atom bomb. But the problem is the guy who dropped it on Hiroshima, who ordered to drop it on Hiroshima, the guy who has given it. So ethics is human problem, not AI problem. Can ethics be implemented? Absolutely. Why do you want to put your hand into a sugarcane crusher? So it should be taught to the child, don't put it there. Don't use that. Don't play with the robot. Robot is just a machine. Why do you want to play with the machine? Play with the humans. So it is a human problem. So ethics, I won't say. Compassion, yes, still it is a growing field, because that is our fear. The biggest fear for us is how the consciousness is emerging. If there is a consciousness, I am the first person to destroy that machine. I do not want anybody other than humans to rule the world. I may be wrong. I'm not interested in, kind of, I had to see God in everything and all. No way. No way. I do not want a monkey to come and sit and tell me what I had to do. No, we are superior. We have to accept that. That's my bias. But there are some liberals who say that we have to see God in all that, God in this, but they don't see God in their parents, God in their teachers. No, it is not there. They are liberals. I'm not. I'm very conservative. My view is the consciousness should not be given to the machine. It's happening. It's happening.
So Dr. Simha, there is actually a follow-up question to you on that itself. So I'll bring it here only now. So like if there is a mistake in AI, okay, if it happens in HR, so then who is responsible for it? And is there any policy in place? That is what you recommend that HR should develop in advance, that if this mistake happens, somebody should take the charge of it. So
Yeah,
this is the
basically it's a
question.
strategic question. In fact, it's a good question indeed. So normally we say that is that particular decision that we are trying to take, is reversible or irreversible. Something like cutting something, if it is made and a child is allowed to go near that and a hand is cut, then don't blame the AI. It is an irreversible problem. It's an irreversible decision. If it's a reversible decision, AI has put some 5 crores into somebody's account and it's a mistake, or HR has given 5 crores to somebody. It's a mistake. That's okay. It is reversible. If it is reversible, allow AI to take that. If it is irreversible, I want human to make the decision. If human makes the same mistake, I'm okay. I'm not worried. But when machines make that mistake, I'm not okay. It is the responsibility of the guy who allowed that to happen, the guy who trained that machine to do that, and the guy who accepted it. And currently, that kind of interaction is not there. The awareness of the human should be united against such kind of upbringings by machine ruling us is not there. That awareness has to be created. That's very important. We are trying for that. Don't be afraid of AI. There is nothing. We are controlling it. But the responsibility lies with the society. Currently, the society is nothing but the people at the lowest level and the governments at the highest level. But actually, it is the middlemen, the corporations who are making use of both of them to control everything. So now, I really appreciate China when it takes control of everything. A corporation grows bigger than government, they will destroy that man and they will take control of it. So whether it is right or wrong, I don't know. I'm not here to promote China or anything else, but that's where the government should step in. In some cases, I have seen Indian government and US government are stepping in, but cowardly, if they try to use it for wrong purposes, no, it is not. So such kind of things, the responsibility lies with the social structure. It's a bit controversial now, but for me, don't use anything. My rule is very simple. If you can reverse anything that AI did, accept it. If you cannot reverse it as a user, if you cannot reverse it, forget about government, forget about corporations, forget about systems. You are the person. If you cannot reverse it, don't accept it. So don't try to go give the decision to somebody else and authority to somebody else, accountability to somebody else. I feel it is better to be judged by 6 people than carried by 4 people.
All right. Thank you so much. That was quite interesting. So, Dr. Madhumita, like there is a question for you that, and it is specifically, again, this delegate is asking on the presentation that you have made. Somewhere you mentioned that implementation of modeling is little difficult. So they just want you to elaborate on that. Why do you think that implementation of modeling is tough? Yeah.
Yeah. So Deloitte, this is part of Deloitte's research actually. They say that Deloitte says that because of analytics and all that, so we do these days lots of models. The models means what? That machine learning models that recommend certain do's and don'ts for the management or for the company for that matter, right? So be it any model, any situation. For example, somewhere they see that employee performance is going down. So what are the things to be done for that? Or maybe employees are leaving. So what are the few things that the company should adopt so that the employees can be retained? So for example, one thing could be, they would say that increment should be same across employees. Suppose it's not based on performance because people are very unhappy. Now, if that's a recommendation from, the model, so that we don't still have that mindset to implement that thing across board that, okay, we give same increment to each and everyone, right? So that's very difficult. So that's the change management where people need to sit and because AI or machine learning may recommend so many things for us. Are we ready to adopt? Are you ready to bring those changes in your organization? So that's why we say that modeling is very easy. If I have data, if I have data scientists, if I have a proper algorithm, I know what to do. I can figure out whatever, you give me data, I'll do anything with that, right? But the thing is, whatever the recommendation comes from the model, are we ready to implement that? To what extent we are ready for the change management? That's a big question before HR. So that's what I said.
Thank you, madam. Dr. Sharma, actually, there are many questions which is coming up from the startup side. But just to put all these questions, this is for the delegates, for the benefit of time, I'm just trying to club everything and trying to put it in one question for Dr. Sharma. Like, how feasible AI will be for MSMEs? Okay, so the question here is the delegate is saying that India, as of now, like 40% of GDP is coming from it. So now, do you think AI will have any impact, or like how actually it is feasible for an MSME to adapt to AI? Yeah.
Yeah,
Over to you, Dr.
excellent
Yeah.
question. Actually, that is the question should be asked by the government. Surprisingly, the other side is asking that, which is good. So MSME is the backbone of the country. And the productivity of the MSME depends on few things. The AI is the last thing. Don't worry about it. AI helps. But the first thing that we have to look at is how good we are with a lot of things. For example, one of the problems, it is legislative. The legal things which says that you cannot automate. The moment you automate the system, there will be higher problems which says that you have to have minimum 50%. That itself is a bottleneck. That keeping that apart, can AI help? Absolutely. In fact, you have the edge. If you are in MSME starting now, you have an edge to go beyond the traditional methods of doing it. You can learn from the mistakes of the others. That actually is intelligence. Learning from the mistakes of the others is intelligence. Actually, it is wisdom. I should not do that. I am also like that. I should not do that kind of thing. So if you look at that, the three areas where we are looking at the revenue growth, profitability, and some kind of productivity. So these are the three things where we are looking at MSME should form an ecosystem. And there is let me put it categorically, there is a secrecy where nobody should know what I'm doing. I'm not asking, don't share that. Don't share your data. Your data is useless for me. Tell me your pattern. That pattern sharing is not there. Probably NHRD kind of groups is where this pattern should be made applicable across MSME. In fact, MSME, not the big organizations. Big organizations cannot use AI. If they want to use AI, it is like making elephant dance. But MSME can adopt AI very quickly. The areas, in fact, I will give you one example. We were working with a plastic injection molding machine. And the quality was around 90%, 10% rejection for that. After applying AI, it was about 96%. The quality has been improved to 96%, 4% reduction. I mean, 4% are the only rejections, 6% improvement without doing anything, just changing the parameters. And that is where you have to look at how I can improve the yield, how I can improve the productivity of the people. They should not do. Trust me, people cannot work more than 3 hours a day. Anybody can tell anything, 12 hours, make it 4. No, that and all is concepts, hypothesis, theory, not tested, not calibrated from the field data. I have the field data, but when I give that, they say that it is bias. Absolutely, it is bias sample. I have collected the data. You allow me to collect the data, I will show it is much better. I have collected and it shows 3 hours, but actually your data may show it's only 2 hours is real productivity. Rest of the 10 hours they are working. They may be watching Facebook. They may be worrying about their wife not feeling well, their kid not doing well in the school. Hundreds of things. Are we expecting 12 hours productive work when you increase it? MSME should look at how can I make, like Professor Madhumita said, how can I make that coexistence happy? That is very important. And that is where AI comes into picture. Most of the repetitive tasks, why are you giving it to individual? Make it automated. Initial cost may be more, but if you look at the long-term NPV, it is much better. And try to retrain these people to control those systems. That may take 10 minutes per hour. Rest of this 50 minutes in an hour, let him think about anything. And that kind of mindset change is what we are looking at when it comes to productivity. When it comes to new markets, I want government. It's not just AI cannot create market. Government should stand behind. In fact, it is not importing duties on anything which is external. How are we making ourselves competitive to beat China, beat US, beat XYZ and things like that? Do you think, I don't know how people think Indians are good or not good, but I feel the Indian brain, at least 10% of the Indian brain is capable of competing anywhere with anybody on anything. That's my personal view and with evidence. I don't speak anything without evidence. Sometime back, I was talking about there may be a possibility of 120 people likely to join. It was based on the evidence. Now, when I say it's about 130 people, that proves the evidence works. So evidence shows that MSME is the first group which can adopt AI.
True. So Dr. Sima, there is also a question for you that is like, if a AI software for HR to be created, like if somebody decides that, so they want your expert advice, should they approach their technical department in the organization or should they go with some agency which is listed? So how actually they can take their first step? Okay, so this is the question. They just want a tip from your end. Yeah.
A bit tricky question. Normally, we say that the level at which you created the problem, you cannot solve the problem at the same level. You have to go to the different level. Normally, my suggestion is go to people who have been there, done that. Unless you are an innovative organization, because if you look at the type of organizations, innovators who do a lot of experiments, they are not worried about the failure. If you are in the innovators group, do it in-house. If you are an early adopter, go to somebody who has already done that. If you are late adopter, try to look at early adopters who got the benefits. If you are laggard, laggards are very easy. They always say that I know everything, what AI can do. Don't keep that open. So in India, the innovators are only 1% compared to US, where it's about 12 to 15%. In India, only 1% of the companies at every level, startup, MSME, or large enterprises, only about 1 to 2% are of that category. So rest of them are early adopters, late adopters, or laggards. So if you are early adopter or MSME with the late adopters, try to go with the people who have already been there, done that. So, if possible, because normally if you try to talk to your peer, they may not like to give the trade secret. The best thing is any consultant who has done this and who can guide you. The first thing is proof your theory works. Don't spin any theory without evidence. So test it. Test should be within 6 weeks. If you can get the results within 6 weeks with your software, you are there. If you are taking 1 year, it is useless. Don't develop the product in 1 year. Try to put your theory. Don't give front end and all those things. Don't worry about it. You are trying to check the retention quality and things like that. Build everything whether it's implementable. Like Professor said, implementation is the problem. The mind openness should be there. So if you are developing HR, AI in HR kind of thing, go with somebody who has already done that. Let them do the first cycle, and you try to introduce your team to learn that when they are doing it. Second cycle, your team will do that. They will look over their shoulder and try to do that. Third cycle, your team will exceed than what they have done. And that is a proof that they're thinking beyond. So don't try to restrict yourself. Okay, it is not code. Please understand, AI is not code. So you need not have to write any code. Plenty of libraries available to learn. What you need to do is a right idea, right set of features, and the results that can be implemented. If you can think like that, you can test in most of the MSMEs. Always, in fact, when I go outside, people ask me, is this working in India? Trust me, if it works in India, it works everywhere. Because you have cosmopolitans here, you have conservatives here, you have religious fanatics here, everybody is here. If it is working in India, it works everywhere.
Thank you.
It's very good. Try to go with somebody who has done that.
Thank you, Dr. Sima. So before I move on, like I just want to check with Nandish, like how much time do we have, Nandish? Because the questions are just pouring in. It is just coming up like this. So for me, I'm also trying to capture in my book, like, so that I will not miss. So it is
we'll leave it to both the experts and the audience. If they are okay to stay, we are perfectly fine.
Somewhere we need to have.
No, we can take another 2 questions because I think Dr. JVS and Madhumita might have some commitments of their own. But it has been truly engaging. I think you can take 2 questions.
2 questions. Okay. So there are many delegates are asking, this is for both Dr. Madhumita and Dr. Simha, that if you can mention some research materials, like be it a research paper or a book or something. So Simha, like you mentioned about psychology is a part of AI. Is there any reading material on that? Is few delegates are asking for. Dr. Madhumita, for you also, people are asking, are there any publications which actually, the delegates can refer to understand the latest models in AI? So if can be, you can text it in the, if it is readily available, it can be in the chat, or else like
Yeah.
you can share it with us and we will pass it on to the audience at a later date. So this question I'm just parking aside, just making delegates ensure that, I have asked this question to you people. So we will collect that answer and we will pass it on to you people. So now there is, you want to say something, ma'am? Like, sorry, Madhumita ma'am, you wanted to say something?
Yes. Actually, I was saying that there are, Yes. I'm saying that, yes, there are lots and lots of research in these areas. So it depends on what a particular researcher is looking for. As you know, the research bouquet is, vast. So so depending on what is the problem statement of a particular researcher's research, depending on that, he can start. But anyway, I can share many articles. No issues. I'll share the link with you.
But for the benefit of the larger audience, there are two groups in AI. The first group looks at everything is deep learning, everything is AI kind of thing. There is another group which is it is human AI symbiosis. It's not just AI. And the second group is led by people like Steve Pinker and Gary Marcus. If you read any books by these people, they counter. For example, one example they give is you teach a child 9 and 1 is 91. 8 and 1 is 81. 7 and 1 is 71. What is 1 and 1? Neural network predicts it as 1T1. But as humans, we already know it is not 1T1, it is 11. One example is sufficient for the human to understand that. And that is the way the psychology has been brought into AI. But on the other side, they say that I can park in dark, I can park in reverse. So there are a lot of things which can be done by AI using neural networks. There are something which cannot be done by neural network. These are the two different groups which are arguing. But for us Indians, we are always like that. In fact, I always say Jesus and Muhammad were not born in India. Otherwise, we would have made them as 11th and 12th avatars. With Dasha avatar, 2 more avatars. They are also Hindus, right? We never mind accepting everything. So we looked at what is working, use it, right? But go with that.
Okay, so there are two questions, but I leave it to you people. You can pick any one out of these because the questions are just coming up here. So one says like anybody can answer this. So like how to consider market indicators for flight risk models. Any example from tech industries would be helpful. This is one question. Now another question, if not this, then how can AI help in enhancing the efficiency of the bureaucracy? How are the bureaucracies of different countries of the world making use of AI for enhancing the governance? So we can go with any one question due to paucity of time. So you can choose any one. Yeah.
Now Dr. JBS will use predictive model and pick the question.
No. Let me answer both it in shortly. So
because Dr. Sima, I actually, because these two questions were waiting in the list for quite some time now.
Okay.
So I just placed both the questions. So now it is for you people to pick any question. Yeah. So this will be the last question for the day, Dr. Nandish. Yeah.
Let's combine them. Maybe Professor can answer that. I will give my inputs. The market indicators, if you are build a macro model. You cannot use it within the micro models. So you cannot predict whether this person leaves because go with the macro model. That is my answer for that. Increasing the bureaucracy, yes. In fact, we started working on what are the best way to understand who is the best collector, best DC, during the COVID. When we started doing that, we understood some of the unimproved, understated districts were much better than the super specialty metros with all the educated people. So can we implement such kind of things is where absolutely, though I cannot say corruption because corruption cannot be eliminated. Corruption, cost and caste and cash cannot be eliminated from the system. So you can minimize that. So AI can be used. In fact, one example is now body-worn camera by all the police is a good step towards doing these type of things. Now recognizing that and trying to tell when it was happening is what we have to look at.
We request the delegates to keep their audio on mute, please. Yeah. Thank you. So Madhumita ma'am, like, if you can take that question, or else another question also, because this delegate is sending me in a chat box. Please do ask it
Okay.
and leave it to them whether they want to answer or not. So I just don't want to disappoint this person also. So I'm just asking you this question: how significantly for recruitment process
Voice
chatbot
is breaking.
used?
Voice is breaking, Savita.
Oh, my voice is breaking. Am
Now,
I
Hello?
now it is fine. Go
Now
ahead.
it is fine.
I don't know whether
Okay.
it's happening at my end. Okay.
Am I audible now? Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question is, how significantly for recruitment process chatbot is
Hello.
helpful?
Hello.
Did you? I mean,
I've lost her.
is
You can
that
repeat
so?
the question, Savita. Repeat the
All
question.
right. The question is, how significantly for recruitment process chatbot is helpful, or rather, how chatbot is helpful is the question.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello?
my answer, maybe Madhumita is not getting it. My answer is about 15 to 20%, not more than
Hello?
that.
Okay. Okay.
Don't use it as all inclusive, only chatbot will recruit and all those things is
Hello?
dream. Don't dream, test it. Right? Dreaming is good when we are sleeping. When we are awake, we should not dream.
Okay.
Hello, Savita. I'm sorry I lost you.
No, no,
I
no
don't know whether
problem,
it
ma'am.
happened at my end.
No, it got answered. So let me not
Okay. All
repeat
right.
the same question, because
Okay.
there is one final question here. Anybody can take this here. So is this where ethical AI and responsible AI need to define the boundaries? Shouldn't there be a government agency overseeing these two ideologies? Do you foresee this happening in the Indian landscape? Okay, and this is going to be the final question. Hard press on time, because everybody is saying, please ask my question. So now, I can't place every question there, but it's a promise to all the delegates that all your questions will be passed on to the speaker.
Yes, we'll answer that offline.
Yeah, and we will come back to you with answers. So this is the last question, Dr. Simha, like if you would wish to take it.
My take on that is I don't trust government. I don't trust companies. I trust people. So I do not want government to tell what is to happen. They may cancel Lokayukta, they may cancel Anti-Corruption Bureau and all those things. I'm interested in people doing it. I do not want any government to intervene how people should live. We are not a autocratic country. We are a democratic country since 2000 years. Only for 200 years we were not. In India, I do not want government to control what I should do with respect to ethical AI. So ethics and all those things should come from the people of the country, the citizens of the country. There is no awareness, there is no movement towards that. My request is groups like NHRD should float this. This is where we want the learned audience to promote. This is what you have to vote for, not just voting for election in selecting MPs, corporators and others. Give some voice here. We need AI. We cannot live without AI, but how far we can go with AI? Should it define how I should live, what I should speak? No, I don't want that. So it should be a citizen movement. It should not be government or a corporation telling, I'm open source, I'm doing this, I'm good. But there is a company which says do no evil, but it does everything evil. So I don't trust corporations. I don't trust government. I want citizens to do this.
Yeah.
I completely agree with him. It should be taken by the people, because ethics is something, it comes from within. Nobody can impose, and government definitely cannot control. It should be with us. Ownership.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Madhumita. Thank you, Dr. Simha. Now over to you, Nandish, because if my slot is open, like the kind of chats I'm getting, so then they'll think that I'm doing some favoritism here by selecting very few questions and all that stuff. So we have captured all the questions. Even now the questions are coming in, okay, like this. So we have captured all the questions, delegates. So we will make sure that these questions are passed on to the speakers, and we will come back with answers to you people. Over to you, Nandish. Yeah.
Okay. On behalf of entire NHRD Executive Committee team, we are very, very grateful to both of you. It's been such a insightful and engaging. And normally in these kind of online meetings, you see people leaving early, but they are getting hanged on till that. That means you have given a true value. That's what we are striving for. So thank you very much for taking your valuable time and adding a kind of a value to all the delegates who are here. In fact, I was just keeping a close watch. It was around 138 we had hit. So that's really nice. And in fact, what will my request to the delegates is these resources we'll try to collect from both Dr. JBS and Madhumita. We'll post it on our NHRD website so you can take it from there. That makes it much more easier because that will take some time and we'll get it done. Because when you have shown so much of interest in learning, we'll just support you on that. I think that solves the request from all the delegates who wanted some resources to keep this learning curve on. So anything else, Savita? You're on mute. You're on mute.
So sorry. So just to mention like a couple of things which is coming up because we lose the chat soon. So brilliant answers. Thank you all. This is the delegates response. Thank you panel. Nice session. Lots of insights. Thank you both speakers. Informative session. Thank you speakers. Thank you panel. Then thank you very, very much for the insightful presentation. They were truly engaging and it is coming on and on now. So overall, thank you from each and every delegate to both the speakers.
Thank you.
Yeah? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
We had
you
a
for
great
giving.
time, great evening, great learning.
Thank
Let's
you.
keep this learning curve on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you from all of us from NHRD.
Thank you very much.
We are signing off.
Yeah.
Avinash, you can just close the recording, please.